The galaxy was wide, endless, and filled with thousands of civilizations. Some were ancient and wise, others young and reckless. Among all of them, humanity was still considered new. Only 3 centuries had passed since humans had left Earth and begun building colonies beyond their home system. Compared to the older species, humanity was seen as fragile, untested, and perhaps too hopeful. But humans had something that many others had forgotten: memory of struggle. Wars, hardships, disasters, and countless trials had shaped them. Where other empires grew comfortable in their long peace, humans continued to prepare for the worst. That was why Earth placed such importance on treaties and alliances. They knew trust was rare in the galaxy. And when the Valar Dominion, one of the most powerful empires, offered a peace agreement, humanity accepted with both caution and hope. The Valar were old, proud, and vast in their reach. They controlled hundreds of star systems and demanded respect wherever they went. For centuries, they had forced smaller races to bow before their rule. Yet they never feared rebellion, because any resistance was crushed quickly. When Earth came to the table, the Dominion believed humans would be another quiet subject grateful for survival. They did not know humanity well enough. Ambassador Elias Marin had been chosen to represent Earth in the treaty discussions. He was calm, intelligent, and deeply trusted by the United Earth Command. His mission was simple in words but heavy in meaning: to ensure peace between Earth and the Dominion. Elias traveled aboard the diplomatic vessel Aurora's Voice, carrying with him not only the treaty documents but also gifts from Earth. He believed in diplomacy. He believed that words could stop wars before they began. The journey to the Valar capital world, Velkara, was long, filled with messages exchanged between both sides. At first, the Dominion seemed welcoming. They sent guides, security escorts, and spoke words of friendship. Elias, though cautious, hoped that this was the beginning of something new, a chance for humanity to show it could live peacefully among the stars. When the ship finally descended into the shining towers of Velkara, Elias was in awe. The city stretched like crystal across the horizon. The Valar were masters of architecture, their structures glowing with energy and authority. To any visitor, it looked like a jewel of the galaxy. But beneath the beauty was something colder: control. Every building, every street, every citizen seemed carefully watched and ordered. Elias did not let the unease distract him. He stepped into the great hall of the Dominion Council with steady steps. This was where peace would be made. The council chamber was massive, filled with tall alien figures cloaked in shimmering fabrics. Their faces were sharp, their voices deep, and their eyes unblinking. The High Chancellor of the Dominion, Valar, Torak, stood above them all, radiating pride. Elias bowed slightly in respect and began his speech. On behalf of Earth and all its colonies, I come to confirm our bond of peace. Humanity seeks no conquest, no domination. We seek friendship, trade, and trust. The treaty before you is a promise that Earth will stand as a loyal ally if the Dominion honors its word. His voice carried across the chamber, calm yet strong. Many members of the council listened, some with interest, others with hidden smirks. To them, humans were still small, still weak. Torak stepped forward. His words echoed, slow and deliberate. You speak well, Ambassador Marin. But words are easy. Promises are softer still. Why should the Dominion tie itself to a species so young, so untested? You ask for peace, but what can Earth truly give? Elias met his gaze. We give honesty, we give resilience, and we give the strength of a people who never break their word. If the Dominion keeps this treaty, humanity will never betray you. That is our promise. The chamber grew silent. For a brief moment it seemed that the Chancellor considered the words. But then, without warning, he turned to his guards. Remove him. Confusion rippled through the hall. Elias frowned, unsure if he had misunderstood. The guards stepped forward, their tall armored figures closing in. I came here to bring peace, Elias said, his voice steady despite the sudden shift. If you refuse the treaty, then simply say so. There is no need for—" But his words were cut short. The fate of Ambassador Elias Marin was never fully recorded. Some say he was taken to the hidden chambers of the Dominion, never to be seen again. Others whisper he was silenced in that very hall. His voice stopped before he could speak another word. What was certain, however, was that his ship never left Velcara, and when Earth sent messages asking for his return, the Dominion gave none. At first, Earth waited. They thought perhaps it was a misunderstanding, perhaps delays in communication. But days turned to weeks, and then a full month. Finally, a single cold message arrived from the Dominion Council. Your ambassador has failed. No treaty will be signed. Earth will remain outside Dominion protection. Further inquiries are unnecessary. To the Dominion, it was the end of the matter. To Earth, it was an insult greater than any before. When news reached Earth's leaders, a heavy silence fell across the council chamber in Geneva. The United Earth Command sat around the great table, their faces grim. On the screen before them was the last transmission from Elias, his calm voice carrying words of peace. Now he was gone, silenced without honor. Admiral Kalen Voss, a veteran of Earth's fleet, slammed his hand against the table. They killed him. We all know it. The Dominion thinks we will bow, just like the others. They think humanity will lower its head and move on. President Aria Solon, leader of the United Earth government, spoke softly, but her words carried strength. Elias Marin was not just a diplomat. He was our promise of peace. By silencing him, the Dominion has broken more than a treaty. They have broken trust with all of humanity. Around the table, the commanders and ministers exchanged looks. Fear mixed with anger. The Dominion was powerful, vast, and ancient. Humanity, though growing, was still small in comparison. To fight the Dominion was to risk everything, but something deeper stirred in the room. Pride. Humanity had always risen when challenged, and this insult was too great to ignore. President Solon stood. They believe we will remain silent. They believe our grief will fade and our anger will be forgotten. They do not know us. They do not know Earth. The room grew still as she continued. Let this message go out across every colony, every fleet, every citizen. Humanity will not forget. Humanity will not forgive, and humanity will not bow. Admiral Voss leaned forward, his voice sharp as steel. Then what is our course, Madam President? Solon met his gaze. Prepare the fleets. Call every colony. From this day forward, Earth will show the galaxy what happens when you silence the messenger. We will declare total war. That night, across Earth and its colonies, the news spread like fire. Cities that had once lived in peace now lit up with banners of unity. Soldiers volunteered in massive numbers. Shipyards worked day and night, constructing vessels that had been kept hidden, waiting for the day they would be needed. The galaxy watched with curiosity, some even with amusement. They expected protests, perhaps trade sanctions, but nothing more. Humans were too small, too weak, too divided. Or so they believed, but they were wrong. For the first time in history, all of humanity stood as one, and for the first time, the Dominion would face an enemy that did not fear them. The silence of one ambassador had awakened the roar of an entire world. Humanity had chosen its path. The war had begun. The silence of Ambassador Elias Marin had turned into a storm across Earth and its colonies. What began as grief quickly changed into anger, and then into something far stronger: unity. For centuries, humans had struggled to stand together as one people. Old divisions of nations and politics had often slowed progress. But now, for the first time in history, every human across the stars felt the same fire in their hearts. They had been insulted, betrayed, and dishonored, and no one on Earth would let that insult remain unanswered. In the great assembly hall of Geneva, the United Earth government gathered once more. This time, the atmosphere was very different. Where once there had been hesitation, now there was certainty. President Arya Solon stood before the council, her expression calm but her eyes burning with determination. Behind her hung the banners of Earth and all its colonies, Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens more. "Elias Marin carried our voice," she said, her voice echoing across the chamber. The Dominion silenced him because they thought humanity was weak. They thought we would kneel as others have done before us, but today we prove them wrong. Today Earth declares total war. The chamber erupted with agreement. Admirals, generals, governors, and representatives from every colony raised their voices. They had no more doubts. The decision was final. Admiral Kalen Voss, commander of Earth's fleet, was given the floor. His voice was deep, steady, like a soldier who had seen many battles. "The Dominion believes us unprepared," he said. "They see our colonies and ships as scattered, fragile, and small. They do not know the truth. For decades we have prepared for this very day. The shipyards of Mars, the factories of Titan, the hidden arsenals of Luna, all have been building, training, waiting. Not because we wanted war, but because we knew betrayal was always possible." He raised a hand and the screens behind him lit up. Images of massive starships filled the room. Some were well known, like the Defender class, cruisers used for patrols, but others were new, never shown to outsiders. Huge carriers bristling with weapons, silent strike vessels designed for stealth, fleets that had been hidden in distant asteroids waiting for a signal. "These ships are ready," Voss said firmly. "And so are our people. Soldiers are enlisting, by the millions. Engineers are working day and night. The Dominion thinks we are divided. They are about to learn what humanity truly is when it stands together." Far away on Mars, the great shipyards glowed red beneath the planet's skies. Massive construction arms moved slowly, assembling hulls the size of cities. Workers, scientists, and engineers moved tirelessly, knowing that every bolt, every wire, and every engine would soon decide the fate of humanity. Colonel Juno Reyes walked through the docks, her eyes fixed on the enormous battleship taking shape. Its name was already carved into the side: Sol's Wrath. It was to be the flagship of the Martian fleet. "How long until she's ready?" she asked the chief engineer. 3 weeks, maybe less if we keep the workers running double shifts," the engineer replied. "She'll be the strongest warship humanity has ever built." Juno nodded. She felt the weight of the moment. Mars had once fought to free itself from Earth's control, but those days were gone. Now, Martians stood shoulder to shoulder with Terrans because the insult from the Dominion was against all humans. On Earth itself, young recruits filled the academies. Some were farmers, others miners, some students who had never seen war. But they all came with the same determination: to protect their people and to honor Elias Marin. Among them was Daniel Cross, a miner's son from Europa. His hands were rough from work, but his heart was steady. When asked why he enlisted, he answered simply, "They took one of us. Now we stand for all of us." Training camps echoed with the sound of drills, simulations, and lectures. Soldiers learned to fight not just with weapons, but with unity. They were taught the history of Earth, the struggles of humanity, and the meaning of standing together. Each lesson reminded them that they were more than individuals. They were part of a single force rising as one. While soldiers trained and ships were built, Earth's leaders worked to prepare the political front. The Dominion had many allies and many subjects, but not all of them were loyal. Ambassador Lyra Chen, a skilled diplomat, was tasked with reaching out to the smaller species who had suffered under the Dominion's rule. Quietly, messages were sent to them. Humanity rises. You do not have to stand alone anymore. At first, replies were cautious. Many races feared the Dominion too much to speak openly, but whispers spread quickly. Stories of humanity's courage reached worlds that had long felt abandoned. Some began secretly sending supplies, intelligence, or safe passage. Others promised more if humanity truly stood strong in battle. The galaxy was watching. Some hoped humans would fail, crushed quickly. Others hoped they would succeed because if Earth could stand against the Dominion, then perhaps anyone could. Back in Geneva, the United Earth Command finalized its plans. Admiral Voss stood at the center of the war room, pointing to star maps. projected in the air. Our first step is not to attack their core, he explained. That would be reckless. Instead, we strike where they are weakest. Supply lines, border outposts, hidden stations. We make them bleed resources and show the galaxy that they are not invincible. General Helena Strauss, head of the ground forces, nodded. We'll need rapid deployment units ready. If we strike their stations, we may have to land soldiers before they can respond. Our troops must be fast, flexible, and determined. Humanity's greatest weapon has always been adaptability, Voss said, and we will use it. President Solon listened carefully, then spoke. One warning. This war must not turn us into what we fight. We will strike hard, but we will strike with honor. The galaxy must see us not as conquerors, but as defenders of justice. Elias Marin came in peace, and though he was silenced, his message remains our guide. The room fell silent, her words settling into every heart. They were not fighting for conquest. They were fighting for dignity, for honor, for unity. In the following weeks, the transformation of humanity was complete. Cities on Earth became centers of production. Colonies became fortresses. Spaceports, once filled with merchants, now thundered with military convoys. Yet despite the heavy work, there was also pride. Everywhere, murals and banners showed Elias Marin's face, reminding the people why they fought. Children spoke his name with respect. Adults carried his memory as fuel for their determination. The Dominion had meant to silence one man. Instead, they had given him eternal voice. Meanwhile, far beyond Earth, in the halls of the Dominion, Chancellor Torak received reports of human activity. At first, he dismissed them. Let them build, he said coldly. Let them shout and wave their banners. They are small. When we tire of their noise, we will crush them. But some council members were less certain. Reports told of massive fleets forming, of colonies working with a single purpose, of humans showing unity unlike anything seen before. One advisor dared to speak. Chancellor, perhaps we should not underestimate them. They, Torak silenced him with a glare. They are humans, young, weak, and foolish. They will learn their place. The Dominion has stood for 1,000 years. They cannot challenge us. The council bowed, though unease filled the room. Back on Earth, President Solon gave her final address before the war began. Standing before billions watching across the colonies, she spoke with a voice steady and unshaken. Brothers and sisters of humanity, the Dominion believes they have silenced us. They believe we will bow. But today, we show them what it means to face a united Earth. Today we rise not as separate nations or colonies, but as one people, one voice, one future. They silenced our messenger, but they awakened our resolve. And now we march to war, not for conquest, not for glory, but for honor, for peace that cannot be bought with silence, for the dignity of humanity. Let the galaxy watch, let the Dominion tremble. For Earth does not kneel. Earth stands. The cheers of billions shook the stars themselves. The fleets prepared to launch. The soldiers stood ready. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity had risen as one. And soon, the Dominion would learn what that meant. The fleets of Earth rose from their shipyards like giants awakening from a long sleep. Across the solar system, engines burned bright, and the dark skies filled with the movement of ships. Cruisers, carriers, and stealth vessels left their docks, their hulls shining with the symbols of a united humanity. The Dominion had expected anger, maybe even protests or trade refusal. They had not expected this. Humanity was not marching with hesitation. They were advancing with precision. Every ship had a mission. Every soldier had a role. The war had begun, and Earth was not wasting a single moment. Admiral Kalen Voss stood at the command bridge of the flagship Sol's Wrath. Its vast windows revealed the endless stars beyond, but his eyes were on the glowing maps projected before him. Report, he ordered. Fleet Alpha is ready at Mars orbit, his officer replied. Fleet Beta has gathered near Titan, awaiting orders. Fleet Gamma is holding at Europa. And the strike groups? all cloaked and moving into position. The Dominion does not know they are coming. Voss nodded. Good. Our first counterstrike must be clean and decisive. We will not waste lives. We will not fight recklessly. We will show the Dominion that Earth does not fight like children. We fight like one people. His crew straightened, determination in their eyes. The plan was simple in design, but bold in action. The Dominion relied heavily on supply lines, long routes of freighters and cargo ships carrying food, weapons, and fuel across the stars. If those supply lines were broken, their fleets would weaken. So humanity's first target was not the Dominion's core worlds, but their supply chains. Hidden outposts, way stations, and escort ships were all marked for destruction. Strike Group Echo, made of stealth frigates and smaller ships, was sent to the edge of Dominion territory. Their mission was to ambush a convoy that supplied 3 border systems. Captain Mira Hale, commander of the frigate Silent Horizon, led the group. She was known for her sharp mind and calm under pressure. As her ship drifted silently among asteroids, her crew waited. The Dominion convoy was late, but they would come. They always came. At last, sensors picked up movement, a line of freighters escorted by 2 Dominion warships. There they are, Mira whispered. Her second officer frowned. 2 escorts only? They underestimate us. Mira's eyes narrowed. Then let's show them why that was a mistake. All ships, on my signal. The Dominion convoy moved slowly, unaware of the trap. Then, from the shadows, human ships burst. Forward, weapons flashing like lightning. The first Dominion escort was caught off guard, shields failing within seconds. The second tried to fight, but human frigates moved with speed and precision, striking from multiple angles. Within minutes, the escorts were disabled, drifting helplessly. The freighters, unarmed and panicked, tried to flee. Mira gave her order calmly. Stop them, but do not destroy them. We need their cargo intact. Human ships surrounded the freighters, forcing them to surrender. For the first time in history, a Dominion convoy had been taken by another species. The news spread quickly. Across the galaxy, whispers grew louder. The humans destroyed Dominion escorts. The humans captured a convoy. The humans are not afraid. For the first time, smaller species under Dominion rule felt a spark of hope. If the humans could fight back, perhaps they too could one day be free. Back on the Soul's Wrath, Admiral Voss received Mira Hale's report. He allowed himself a rare smile. Well done, Captain, he said. This is only the beginning. But he also knew the Dominion would not ignore this. They would strike back, and humanity had to be ready. The second counterstrike came from Fleet Beta near Titan. Their mission was to destroy a Dominion outpost that monitored trade routes. The outpost was heavily armed, with defense cannons and sensor arrays. General Helena Strauss, commanding the ground forces, joined the operation. Unlike the first strike, this mission required soldiers to land and secure the base. As the fleet approached, Dominion defenses opened fire, filling space with energy blasts. Human ships moved carefully, covering one another and returning fire with precision. Strauss watched from her shuttle as explosions lit the skies above the outpost. She turned to her troops, her voice steady. Remember why we are here. They silenced our messenger. They thought we would bow. Today we show them the strength of humanity. Today we fight not for conquest but for honor. The soldiers answered with a unified cry. The shuttle landed, and human troops poured onto the outpost. The Dominion defenders fought hard, but they were unprepared for the speed and discipline of human soldiers. Where Dominion troops relied on numbers and intimidation, humans relied on coordination, adaptability, and unshakable will. Within hours, the outpost was taken. The Dominion flag was torn down, replaced with the symbol of Earth. The victory sent shockwaves across the stars. Species who had long feared the Dominion whispered even louder now. The humans are different. The humans strike with purpose. The humans do not stop, and the Dominion began to take notice. Chancellor Torak sat in the grand chamber of Velkara, his face dark with anger. Reports of human victories filled the air. Convoys destroyed, outposts captured, Fleets disrupted. They are bold, he admitted. Too bold, his council murmured nervously. One advisor spoke. Perhaps we underestimated them, Chancellor. Humanity fights with a unity we did not expect. Torak's eyes blazed. Then we will crush that unity. Send more fleets, double the escorts, burn their colonies if needed. The Dominion does not bend to upstarts. The council bowed, though. Fear remained in their eyes. Back on Earth, President Solon listened to the reports of victory. Her heart swelled with pride, but she did not let it blind her. These victories are only the beginning, she told the council. The Dominion will not stay silent. They will answer us with force greater than we have yet seen. We must be ready for what comes next. Admiral Voss nodded. And we will be. Humanity has taken its first step into this war. Now we prepare for the storm. For the soldiers and citizens of Earth, these victories were more than military success. They were proof that humanity was not weak. They were proof that unity had meaning. On Europa, miners raised banners of Earth in celebration. On Mars, workers cheered as news of the captured convoy reached the shipyards. On Earth itself, children learned the names of heroes like Captain Mira Hale and General Helena Strauss. The memory of Elias Marin lived in every cheer, every banner, every voice. He had gone in peace, and though his voice was silenced, his sacrifice had become the spark of something greater. Weeks passed. More strikes followed. Convoys vanished. Outposts fell. Dominion fleets found themselves facing enemies who adapted too quickly, who refused to fight by old predictable rules. Human ships did not always meet them head-on. Sometimes they attacked from shadows, using asteroids and moons for cover. Sometimes they struck supply points instead of fleets, forcing the Dominion to spread their strength thin. Every time the Dominion thought they understood humanity's tactics, humans changed them. It was as if the entire species moved with one mind, learning, adapting, and striking with purpose. But the victories did not come without cost. Ships were lost, soldiers did not return. Families across the colonies grieved, but even in grief they stood tall. Every loss only made the people more determined. On one colony, when news arrived of a destroyed convoy, the governor spoke to the people. They thought we would fear their power, but it is they who now fear us. Remember our fallen not with tears alone, but with strength. For they gave their lives so humanity could rise. The people answered with pride, their hearts unbroken. By the end of the first season of war, humanity had done what no species had ever done before. They had not only resisted the Dominion, they had defeated them in battle. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity was no longer just a newcomer. Humanity was a force. And though the Dominion still stood powerful, they now faced something they had never faced before. A united Earth, fighting with unshakable will. The first counterstrike was complete. The war had only just begun. The first counterstrikes had shaken the galaxy. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Dominion had been forced to retreat. Convoys were lost, outposts captured, and warships destroyed by human fleets that were supposed to be too small and too weak to matter. What began as whispers of surprise now spread like fire across the stars. The humans are not afraid. The humans win battles no one thought possible. The humans fight as one. In distant markets, in shadowed colonies, in hidden rebel camps, the story of Earth spread. And with every retelling, hope grew among species that had long been under the Dominion's iron rule. On Earth, President Arya Solon stood before her council. The great screens behind her showed maps of Dominion space, glowing red where their influence was strong, flickering orange where humans had struck. The balance is shifting, she said calmly. The Dominion no longer looks untouchable. They bleed and the galaxy sees it. This is our moment. We must not waste it. Admiral Kalen Voss agreed, his hand resting on the table. We have proven our strength in small battles, but the Dominion will come harder now. Their fleets are moving. They will not stay on the defensive forever. General Helena Strauss spoke firmly. Then we must adapt before they do. Humanity's greatest weapon is not only courage, it is adaptability. We change faster than they can predict." The council nodded. Humanity had survived its first test. Now came the greater one, proving it could last. Across the colonies, life transformed. Cities that once served trade now built weapons and supplies. Farmers on Earth sent food not just to their own people, but to soldiers fighting across the stars. Children in schools learned not only history, but the meaning of unity, repeating the words that had become humanity's vow. Earth does not kneel. The people were tired, but their spirit did not break. Instead, it grew stronger with each victory. Each loss, each reminder that they were fighting for honor, not conquest. Meanwhile, the Dominion Council grew restless. Chancellor Torak sat in his throne, his sharp eyes filled with anger. "These humans are a spark that must be crushed before it becomes a fire," he growled. But some of his advisors were not so certain anymore. One spoke carefully. "Chancellor, every strike against them only seems to strengthen their unity. They lose ships, they lose soldiers, but they do not fall apart. They grow stronger. This is unlike any enemy we have faced." Torak's glare silenced him. "Then we will teach them fear. We will send a fleet large enough to remind them who rules the stars." The council bowed, but unease remained. The Dominion had always ruled by fear, but could fear work against a people who had already chosen to fight no matter the cost? Back on Mars, in the massive shipyards, new weapons were being tested. Engineers worked day and night, taking apart captured Dominion technology and reworking it with human design. Dr. Ren Imani, head of advanced research, presented his findings to Admiral Voss. "The Dominion's energy shields are powerful, but they are rigid. Once we studied the fragments from the captured outpost, we discovered a weakness. If we focus fire in short bursts instead of long streams, the shields collapse faster." Voss leaned forward. "And our ships can adapt their weapons that quickly?" Imani smiled. "Humans learn fast, Admiral. Our engineers have already modified the first cruisers. They will be ready within days." This was humanity's secret. Where the Dominion had grown comfortable, humans experimented, adjusted, and evolved. At the same time, diplomats worked in shadows. Ambassador Lyra Chen had spent months sending secret messages to oppressed species. Now she was finally meeting them face to face, not in open halls but in hidden places far from Dominion eyes. She met with the Kalari, a species forced to serve as miners for the Dominion. Their leader, Elder Vec, studied her carefully. "You humans fight bravely," he said slowly, "but the Dominion has crushed many before you. Why should we believe you will succeed where others have failed?" Chen answered without hesitation. "Because we do not fight for conquest. We fight for justice." Elias Marin came with peace in his heart, and they silenced him. That silence has become the voice of all humanity. And if you join us, Elder, it can become the voice of freedom for all. Vec was silent for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. "We will help you. Quietly at first, but you will have our resources." It was a small victory, but it was the beginning of something greater. Humanity was no longer alone. On the front lines, human soldiers continued to adapt. Captain Mira Hale and her crew now, famous for capturing the first Dominion convoy, found themselves striking deeper into enemy space. Her second officer spoke as they reviewed new plans. "The Dominion thinks they know our tactics now. They expect ambushes, they expect raids. What if we do the opposite?" Mira nodded slowly. "Then we give them exactly what they don't expect." Her fleet staged a bold assault on a heavily guarded station, not with stealth, but with direct force. The Dominion prepared for a long battle. Instead, human ships struck fast and then pulled back, leaving the station intact but disoriented. Hours later, another fleet arrived from a different direction, overwhelming the confused defenders. This was humanity's strength: unpredictability. The Dominion could not guess what move came next. As the months passed, the war reached a strange balance. Humanity was smaller, but faster. The Dominion was larger, but slower. Where the Dominion lost one outpost, humans gained hope. Where humans lost a ship, New ones replaced it quickly, often improved with captured technology. For the first time, the galaxy no longer saw the Dominion as unstoppable. They saw cracks in the Empire's armor. And for the first time, they saw Earth not as a small newcomer but as a rising power. Yet victory did not come without sacrifice. On Titan, when a Dominion fleet attacked suddenly, human soldiers fought bravely but suffered heavy losses before reinforcements arrived. General Strauss stood among the survivors afterward, her voice strong despite her grief. "They thought this loss would break us," she said to her weary troops, "but they do not understand humanity. Every soldier who falls becomes part of our strength. Every loss is fuel for our fire. We do not bow. We rise." The soldiers, tired but unbroken, lifted their voices in agreement. The balance of the war was shifting. Humanity had proven it could stand against the Dominion. It had proven it could adapt faster, strike smarter, and endure losses without losing spirit. But more than that, it had proven something the Dominion had never faced before: unity. Across every colony, every ship, every soldier, and every worker, humanity stood together as one. No empire, no chancellor, no army could take that away. The galaxy watched in silence, holding its breath. For if humanity could truly keep this momentum, the Dominion's reign of fear might finally end. And deep within the halls of Belcara, Chancellor Torak felt something he had not felt in centuries: doubt. The war was not yet over. Greater battles were still to come. The Dominion would bring their strongest fleets, their most powerful weapons, their most ruthless strategies. But humanity was ready. They had faced betrayal and answered with unity. They had faced power and answered with adaptability. Now, as the stars shifted with the tides of war, humanity stood at the edge of something greater than survival. They stood at the edge of victory. The galaxy had changed. Once the Dominion had seemed untouchable, their fleet stretching across hundreds of star systems. Now they faced a force they had not anticipated: humanity, united, adaptable, and relentless. Across Earth and its colonies, preparations continued for the final campaigns. Ships moved through space with purpose, each vessel carrying not just weapons but the spirit of a species determined to defend its honor. Soldiers drilled tirelessly, engineers perfected their designs, and diplomats worked quietly to maintain alliances with those who had begun to trust humanity. Humanity had grown stronger, not just in numbers, but in confidence. Where the Dominion had underestimated them, humans had shown intelligence, resilience, and above all, unity. On the bridge of the Sol's Wrath, Admiral Kalen Voss watched as fleets converged near the Outer Dominion territories. Beside him, Captain Mira Hale reviewed the latest reports. "All of our fleets are in position," she said. "The Dominion will face everything we have all at once." Voss nodded. "And they will learn why they should never underestimate Earth. This is not just a battle. This is the moment the galaxy understands our strength." The final strategy had been carefully planned. Human forces would strike simultaneously at multiple Dominion systems. Supply routes, command stations, and forward fleets would be targeted, not to destroy for the sake of destruction, but to force the Dominion to realize that their empire could no longer operate unchecked. The first strike began in the early hours of the galactic cycle. The Dominion's forward fleet in the Avaris system was caught off guard by the coordinated attack. Human ships moving with flawless timing disabled key stations while avoiding unnecessary destruction. Captain Mira Hale led her squadron in a daring maneuver, slipping past heavy defense networks to cut communications. Dominion commanders were bewildered. For the first time, their orders did not reach the front lines. Chaos rippled through their ranks. On Titan, General Helena Strauss oversaw the landing of troops onto a Dominion-controlled world. Unlike previous battles, this was not an assault to conquer but to secure. Dominion soldiers, seeing humans act with precision and purpose, began to question their own leadership. One young Dominion officer, observing the humans' discipline, whispered to a comrade, "They do not fight for glory or power. They fight with honor. It was a thought that would echo across Dominion ranks. Humanity's reputation was spreading faster than any fleet could travel. Back on Earth, President Arya Solon watched the progress from the command center. Each report brought pride and caution in equal measure. "They cannot understand us," she said quietly to her advisors. "They do not know that we do not fight for conquest but for justice. They do not understand that when humanity unites, we rise beyond fear." Her words were reflected across every colony. From Mars to Europa, from Titan to the outer mining colonies, humans worked together, motivated by the same principle. A wrong done to one was a wrong done to all. This unity was the true power behind the fleets and armies. Every victory was magnified, because humans were not divided. Every action was strengthened by trust, communication, and shared purpose. As the campaign advanced, Dominion territories began to fall in ways they had never anticipated. Systems surrendered not out of fear, but because humans offered an alternative. Peace, order, and fair treatment, principles that the Dominion had long ignored, became the pillars of humanity's reputation. Ambassador Lyra Chen traveled secretly between liberated worlds, meeting with leaders of oppressed species. "The humans are different," one alien elder said, bowing respectfully. "They fight with courage, yes, but also with honor. Perhaps there is hope for the galaxy after all." Chen nodded. "That hope is built on unity. Together we can show the Dominion that power is not only about fleets and weapons. It is about trust, integrity, and the will to defend what is right." Across the stars, messages of support began to flow into Earth. Resources, intelligence, and volunteers joined humanity's cause. Where once they had been alone, humans now had allies who believed in their vision. The decisive battle came near the Dominion homeworld of Velkara. The Dominion had gathered their largest fleet, confident that sheer power could crush humanity, once and for all. Yet when the human fleets arrived, moving in perfect coordination, they found the Dominion waiting, but not prepared for the humans' strategy. Admiral Voss orchestrated attacks from multiple angles, using every advantage. Strike teams disabled communication satellites while stealth vessels harassed supply convoys. Ground forces, led by Strauss, captured key planetary installations without unnecessary violence, showing discipline that even the Dominion could not ignore. The Dominion fleet was powerful, but rigid. They fought as they always had, expecting fear to work in their favor. Humans, however, had no fear. They adapted to each maneuver, countering every tactic with creativity and speed. Hours passed like minutes. Dominion losses grew, and yet, humans sustained minimal casualties. For the first time, the Dominion commanders realized that their greatest weapon, intimidation, no longer worked. Humanity's unity and discipline had turned the tide. In the council halls of Velkara, Chancellor Torak's fury was matched by fear. Reports came in. Stations lost, fleets captured, supply lines severed. Species under Dominion rule quietly rebelled, inspired by humanity's example. Torak turned to his advisors. "How can they be so coordinated? They are not a single ship or station. They are a people. Every attack strengthens them. Every action proves they are unstoppable." One young advisor whispered, "Perhaps we underestimated them from the start, Chancellor. Perhaps humanity is not just another race. Perhaps they are exceptional." Torak's face darkened. "Then we adjust. No mercy. No hesitation. They will pay." Yet even he knew deep inside that the humans had already changed the game. The Dominion had never faced an enemy who could grow stronger with every challenge. Back on Earth, as the final victories were reported, the people celebrated, but with respect and humility. Ships returned to dockyards, soldiers came home, and families reunited across planets. President Solon addressed the entire human population via broadcast. Her voice was calm but resonant. "Today, humanity has faced betrayal and responded not with anger alone, but with unity, discipline, and honor. We have proven that even the smallest injustice, even the silencing of one voice, can awaken the strength of all. The galaxy has seen that Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive betrayal lightly. And Earth will always rise together. We fought not to dominate, but to protect. We fought not to destroy, but to uphold justice. And through this we have shown the true power of humanity. Across the colonies, cheers erupted, banners waved, and children repeated the words of their leaders. The memory of Ambassador Elias, Marin, silenced by the Dominion, lived on in every act of courage and unity. In the months that followed, humanity's reputation spread across the stars. Systems once loyal to the Dominion reached out to Earth, seeking fair trade, guidance, and protection. Alien races who had watched from the shadows now openly allied themselves with humans. Elders of oppressed species spoke openly of hope, recalling the lessons of the war, that unity, courage, and honor could overcome even the most powerful empire. Even the Dominion, while still vast and powerful, began to adjust. They understood that their approach of fear and control could no longer dominate. Humanity had set a new standard. They had proven that strength without justice was hollow, and that a people united could challenge even the greatest powers. For the people of Earth, life slowly returned to normal, but nothing was ever the same. Humanity had awakened to its true potential. They had faced betrayal, adapted, and emerged victorious. They had learned that unity, discipline, and honor were more powerful than any weapon, and that their voice, once silenced, could resonate across the galaxy. And so across every planet, in every colony, and every heart, humanity remembered the lesson that began it all. They had been silenced once, but that silence had awakened a force that would never be ignored again. Earth had declared total war, and in doing so, humanity had forged a reputation that would echo across the stars forever.